Good morning, everybody. It's an early one. It's 5:30 a.m. here on the West Coast Pacific Time. But, hey, it's just the way that today's laid out. And the way that it's laid out is, I gotta knock this out early or it's not gonna happen. It's all good. Got my coffee. Got my Ask Me Anything questions. We're gonna dive in. We're gonna have a blast. Got my baby monitor next to me. My little girl's already starting to stir. That's troublesome and disturbing. She shouldn't be up for about at least another 45 minutes, but she's looks like she's waking up. So it's going to be one of those days, a real life sort of a day. Let's go ahead and dive right in. The first most upvoted question is from Patrick S., not me, a different Patrick S., asking for my favorite 3 workouts from the games. I'm going to go to games.crossfit.com right now. Click on workouts. Let's see here. So I've got them in my head. I want to make sure I read them properly. Okay. Oh, my favorite 3. I'm going to try not to go down a rabbit hole on this. I mentioned this in a previous video. I really liked the skill speed medley that had the pegboards, the jump rope, the single leg squats, and then the handstand walk of varying difficulties. I really liked that one a lot for a whole bunch of reasons. Increasing the difficulty on the pegboard. I know that, the crossover double ender, I don't think as many people got through that as I would guess Adrian wanted to, because I really wanted to see more people go to that press to handstand at the end and the P-bars. It would have been super cool. I really liked how that event was set up. I liked that they had to do 10 unbroken single leg squats on each leg. I liked that the penalties were high. It was a high stakes, high skills event. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really cool. So that one would be in there as well. I might have to give more than 3. I apologize. I really liked the shuttle to overhead. I mean, that was when I heard, people saying, it's very Linchpin, very quintessential Linchpin, which was cool. Run heavy, lift fast. Run fast, lift heavy. But what I liked about that shuttle to overhead was that the time frames were aggressive, the loadings were aggressive, but appropriate for those games athletes. But then that it was created in a way that you couldn't really sandbag either one, right? Like the time in which you finished the run counted, and then the reps that you got with the barbell counted. So it's not like you could do which was so easy, which is, okay, I'm going to just pace the run because that's what everyone always does, and that way I can be a barbell hero. That's the typical standard operating procedure, and making the run valuable was a beautiful monkey wrench in there. So it was fantastic. So I liked that one a lot. The Capitol was really cool. That was a really cool event. That was a really cool event on many levels. Not only the actual programmed event was awesome with grunt work and a long run that everybody had to go on that was probably a bit longer than they wanted to go. Heavy pig flips, that 3.5-mile run, miserable jerry cans in each hand for a 200-meter farmer's carry, and then that, I'm going to mispronounce that, Husefeld carry at the end there, another 200 meters of just a miserable odd object in the front bear hug kind of going on. Finishing at the Capitol, going up the steps, all the crowds next to everybody. It was, again, not only a very well-programmed event, a beautiful test, but it visually was fantastic and made for great media, a great finish, the whole 9 yards. So I really liked that event a lot. Let's see. I've got 2 more I'll touch on. I know that's going over my 3 limit, but I've got 2 more. I don't know how everyone else felt about this. I really liked the sandbag ladder a lot. It was different. It was unique. You saw, let's just say, a wide array of techniques, but watching somebody lift those sandbags compared to barbells, I absolutely adored it. And, I'm not some amazing sandbag strongman magician sort of a person, but I will say, years ago, when I programmed the Masters events for the CrossFit Games, I did that for a couple of years. And I had a sandbag front bear hug carry on one of the events that I wound up programming. And so I had, Rogue was kind enough to deliver these sandbags to my garage so that I could do testing and things of that nature. So in my garage, I've got, I think, an 80, a 100, a 150, a 200, and a 250. I don't have a 300. There's no need for them to send me a 300. I guess that's my point. And so I've got, a 200 and a 250 in there. I pick up the 200-pound sandbag rarely. Okay, and it's on a day that I want to modify something or have fun. I've been vocal that every now and then I'll use that 200-pound sandbag maybe on a day that has heavy front squats in the workout, and I just want to do some cool, fun variants. So I'll bear hug that 250-pound, the 200-pound. I'll bear hug the 200-pound sandbag and do front squats with that, and it's miserable and fun and gorgeous and awesome. I've never gotten the 200-pound sandbag to my shoulder. Well, I think I've gotten to my shoulder once, and my spine almost shot out of my back and went into orbit. That 200-pound sandbag feels like it weighs 50% more than it actually does, let alone the 250-pound sandbag. That thing's like a boat anchor. That thing is, I can deadlift it off the ground. It's not going anywhere. And I can deadlift with a barbell like 450 pounds. So the difference between a sandbag and a barbell is just extreme. So to see what the women were able to get from the ground and onto their shoulder, I watched that event in complete awe and amazement. Like a tip of the cap. Amazing. And then same thing on the gentleman's side of the house. The loads that went up, I just sat there and shook my head. It was absolutely crazy. So anyway, I thought the sandbag ladder was super cool. And then, okay, I think that was 3 events, but I've got to give you one more. I'm sorry. I really enjoyed some of the stuff. The other one, the back 9. That was the just pure, unadulterated, everything was obnoxiously heavy strength event. Sorry for sipping my coffee during the AMA, but it's 5:40 in the morning. Gotta have some coffee. That yoke carry, front squat, deadlift, then back out, front squat, yoke carry. That was just cool. It was a short, sharp time domain, an aggressive time cap, which a lot of the workouts and events that were programmed had aggressive time caps, which I liked because it forced not a lot of standing around. But that had a yoke, 485-pound yoke for the women, 665-pound yoke for the men. That's a very, very heavy yoke. It was incredible. And you saw some people it looked like it was glued to the ground, right? That's no joke. And then the front squats, would we have 215 pounds for the women, 315 pounds for the gentlemen, and then for the deads, 315 for the women, 475 pounds for the men. Yoke carry, front squat, deadlift, then back out. Front squat, yoke carry. I thought that was really cool, really compelling, absolutely awesome, played well for the crowd, and a test of strength. You know what's funny? I think I feel myself starting to go down a rabbit hole here. I think I got the sense from social media, and I hate to even say that because oftentimes social media is so disconnected from reality or lacking the nuanced context of what you could have with somebody in a face-to-face conversation. I got the sense that when this year's CrossFit Games started off and just day one went down, and remember on day one, that shuttle to overhead event didn't get to take place because of rain, I believe. So that had to take place on Thursday. So just Wednesday went down. And all you saw on Wednesday was the bike to work event and the skill speed medley. Oh, and elevated Elizabeth. Elizabeth with the squat cleans went down on that as well. That was just a 135-pound barbell for the men and 95 pounds for women, right? With some added extra reps. I think there was I get the sense anyway, that there was a lot of hate and discontent in the old interwebs about the games this year and the tests. And this is terrible. This is an abomination. This is miserable. These events are stupid. Again, and sometimes the negative folks can just be louder on social media. I think that happens a lot. And I like to think that's because the other people that are more sane, and have like positive things to say are busy being productive members of society, and they don't have the time to just sit around and type nonsense into their phone because they're like adding value to the world. So that's what I like to think every now and then. So sometimes the negative folks are just louder. But I get the sense of, even though that happened there on day number one, as each day of the games ticked by, and as each new event got announced, all of a sudden the tide turned and people were like, I like this. I like where this is going. Oh, well, that was kind of cool. Oh, well, that was an interesting twist. And I get the sense, and I could be totally wrong, that when it all kind of wrapped up, people were like, that was cool. That was a cool games. So I think people really enjoyed it. And I was one of those. I definitely, I wasn't one of the ones that started negative. I liked it from the get-go. But I really enjoyed the games this year. All right, so those are the ones that I would do. And the yoke, it's funny, we don't program a lot of yokes at Linchpin. And there's some things that, a yoke's a great example, don't get programmed a lot, and that in no way, shape, or form is indicative of whether or not that piece of gear has value. A yoke has tremendous value. But here's the other thing. Whether you've got 100 people or 1,000 people or 5,000 people that you're programming for, the percentage of people that have a yoke sitting around in their garage, in their apartment in New York City, and they can load it up and walk it somewhere, is a very, 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 very small fraction of the people compared to who have pull-up bars and barbells and dumbbells and things like that. If you have a yoke, absolutely you should feel free to, I'm going to say this every now and then, throw it in, on a heavy day where you're just stressing your central nervous system and your midlines and your glutes and hamstrings anyway, and for some accessory work at the end or something like that, you want to do some 50-foot yoke walks, do some 50-foot yoke walks. Fantastic. You're always authorized to do that. And yoke's really cool because arguably it's going to allow most human beings to get the most loading on their body of almost maybe any movement. Most people are going to be able to walk with a yoke at a loading beyond their 1 rep max deadlift, and most people are going to be able to walk with a yoke at a loading beyond their 1 rep max back squat, and most people's deadlift is probably the most loading that they move, and so the yoke's going to give you an opportunity to load your body even more than that, safely. So yoke's pretty darn cool. So it's great. All right, great question. All right, let's see. The next one, this is a good one. All right, let me go back to the questions here so I can read it properly. This one's from Melanie H., who loves running. I love running as well. I know some people don't. And it's for sprinting as a master's athlete. And so Melanie's question is basically asking whether or not sprinting as a master's level athlete is something which should be embraced, should it be avoided because it's potentially injurious, or any of those kind of good things. and specifically shorter distances, let's say 50s and 100s. And as a matter of fact, Adrian Bosman and I specifically addressed a question about this on Varied Not Random episode number 51. So you can go back and check that out. And that's, Ian, 3 weeks into the private track and loving the program and great community. Very cool. Glad you're enjoying it. That's the goal. VNR number 51 is entitled Sprint Without Pulling a Hamstring. And so I would just encourage everybody, either on however you listen to podcasts, go ahead and check that out, or go onto YouTube and find Varied Not Random episode number 51, Sprint Without Pulling a Hamstring. So, just truth, which is what we're all about here at Linchpin. Sprinting, and especially as you get older, is one of those things that if you're not keeping up on it, or if you're not ready for it, sprinting will jump up and bite you. Absolutely no way around it. It is potent. It is very, very potent. So potent that most people don't give it the respect that it deserves, and then you're in Snap City. So, let's see. And when I say jump up and bite you, yeah, we're talking hamstrings primarily, especially on the shorter distances. But like so many other things, it's not just a binary black and white, yes and no, toggle switch sort of topic. It's not just safe or just dangerous and this applies to so many other things. So many things have more context and nuance than just, yep, it's like this all the time, period, end of story. There's a lot of it depends, which I know is an unsatisfying answer every now and then, but usually quite true. So, like so many other things, done properly. Melanie, I see you right here. We're just diving into it right now. Like so many other things, done properly, sprinting, building up capacity to it, not jumping right into it, fully warming up, really warming up, respecting the warm-up, etc., etc., you can have a very good experience. But I'm here to tell you this. I've strained my hamstring only twice since starting CrossFit in 2005. I am very much a master's athlete. So from 2005 to 2022, what year is it? 22? Strained my hamstring twice. That's not bad, given how many years and how many workout sessions have been in all of those years of training right there. Both of those hamstring strains came on a 10 by 100 meter sprint day. Both of them. Coincidence? I think not. And I'm somebody who doesn't avoid sprinting and is used to sprinting. However, I fell into my own personal trap. And that is, even though I knew better, I didn't respect the 10 by 100 meter dash day. And I was pressed for time. And I said, I've been working out for years. And I do this stuff, I'm used to it. So the rules don't apply to me. So I can go out there and just kind of, use sprint number 1, 2, and 3 as my warm-up, and then really hammer down the last 7 sprints and still get in a decent workout and not have it take a lot of time, and then rush don't take enough rest between the 100-meter dashes because I'm crunched on time, but I'm not going to miss the workout, so I'm going to get it in. I've done that twice in my life. Both of those times I strained my hamstring. Didn't warm up properly, didn't give it the respect that it deserved, started the workout well before my hamstrings were ready for it, and then did not give myself adequate rest between those sprint intervals to recover to do it again. Did it twice, paid for it twice. Is that my fault or is that sprinting's fault? It's 100% my fault. Now, let's see. The other side of this coin is, if I take a master's athlete, that's just somebody, 35 years or older, as defined by CrossFit. Other people may define a master's athlete somewhere else. And they don't really have a history of sprinting and haven't had a lot of exposure to that. And I take them in and I throw that into them as like workout session number 1. That's a terrible idea. That's negligent. That's me being a bad trainer. That's a recipe for disaster. That's not going to end well. Period. End of story. I know a bunch of people that work out, but they don't do CrossFit. They don't do high intensity training. They've been working out for years. And so I could take these people who are, used to working out and have them do a sprint day, and I would tear their hamstrings off of their bone. It wouldn't be good. So they are potent, and treat them with respect. I always liken them to heavy days. Just like at Linchpin, we respect heavy days, right? If it's a 5x5 back squat or a 7x1 deadlift day, that's all we do that day. We don't do anything else, because to do it right takes a really long time. It takes a really long time to do a general warm-up, and then after that start building up your warm-up sets of the lift. That takes a while. And then finally, you're at whatever is your first working set of that 7x1 deadlift day. And then between each one of those 7x1 working sets, you're going to rest 3 or 4 minutes. So 4 minutes, 7 reps is 28 minutes of just rest in there. Then you're going to cool down. It takes an hour easily to do a 7x1 day or a 5x5 back squat day. Easily. And I treat those 10x100 meter dash days the exact same way. That's why we don't program anything else. Because you're going to need all the time in that hour to do it properly and to do it right. And speaking from personal experience, like I said before, if you don't, then you're dancing with the devil and you're rolling the dice, and it's just as unintelligent as rushing a heavy day, which I would also say is a profoundly poor decision. And just like heavy days, respect them, take time. That's why it's the only thing we work out. I wrote here, do it right and reap the benefits. And the benefits are tremendous. And if anyone in the Linchpin community is listening to this, I'm telling you something that you already know. And we've got thousands of people all around the world living this lifestyle and benefiting from it because we do it properly. Don't take shortcuts, and we do it properly, and you reap the benefits, whether it's a sprint day or a heavy day. Brand new, don't sprint. Build up to it, work up to it. They're potent, respect them. And sprinting, we covered this a little bit in that Very Not Random episode that I did with Boz as well. Sprint, as you're building up your tolerance to it, can mean several things. It doesn't have to mean 100% maximal effort, especially if you're still getting used to sprinting. Well, that's probably not going to go well either. Just as with any other part of your workout regime, right? If you're a new or newer athlete, you would reduce the loading, scale the intensity, scale the reps. Like scaling is cool, right? And then you would build up this tolerance as you work towards potentially what the RX prescription is. Same deal with like a 10x100 meter sprint day, right? But it's so easy to just not respect that. I digress. As you start to build up to that, one of the best things you could do is to reduce the intensity. And even just getting a bit more intensity than what you're used to will give you a beautiful piece of variance, and you can still reap the benefits from it without even being close to what a near maximal sprint would be if you're not ready for that. And here's what I mean. So let's say you haven't been sprinting, okay? You've been blowing it off. Hey, it happens. But you've been doing Helen, Nancy, other workouts in CrossFit that involve running. But think about the run pace that you do on Nancy. 5 rounds for time, 400 meter run, 15 overhead squats at 95 or 65. That 400 meter run pace that you do in Nancy, or most mixed modality multi-round workouts that have a run component in them of a 400 meter run, an 800 meter run. We say run, jog's probably a really good word to use, right? For being honest. I mean, most people, if you're doing Nancy and you're doing those 400 meter runs in, let's say, 2 minutes per, especially after hitting your legs with 15 overhead squats, you're maintaining a really good pace on those 400 meter runs on Nancy if you're holding 2 minutes per 400 over the course of 5 rounds. For most people, you might be faster or slower, so don't take this personally, but for a lot of people, if you did a 6x400 meter repeat day at a track, your pace would be certainly faster than like a 2 minute or just slightly over 2 minutes sort of a pace. My point being that the run pace you do during most named mixed modality workouts, it's not a sprint pace. So a 10 by 100 meter dash day comes up, or 6 by 400 meters, or whatever it happens to be. Well, you could just make sure that you're running somewhere lower than 100% intensity, yet higher than the jog pace that you do during most workouts that have running. Somewhere in that middle ground. Less than 100%, higher than the jog pace you do during workouts. And if it's just slightly faster than you would ever dare run in Helen or Nancy, but still nowhere near your maximal effort, it's most likely going to be perfectly safe on your hamstrings and things of that nature. But what it will do is it will expose you to a pace that you traditionally never run. And that has tremendous benefit, tremendous value, and that's the beauty of variance. There's something there, because now you're doing something that you normally don't, but you're doing it with intelligence, and you're doing it in a way that you can gently build up over time as you start to not neglect your sprinting. And so if your 100% pace is maximal effort, let's just say the run pace you do during Nancy is 50%, okay? Well, then maybe you go out and on the sprint days, you keep them at 65, 70%, and you never go above that. So you're not getting close to that danger zone for the hammies, but you're going faster than you ever did in a regular workout. That's great. And then you just gently build, and you gently build, and you gently build after a fantastic warm-up, and you take the rest you need between each. That's the way that you do it. And not a deep end of the pool with sprinting, just kind of going for it. If you're not ready, you'll learn a lesson the hard way. Let's see, I think I had something else written down there. Oh, okay. And then let's say, I'm a big fan of reality, right? I'll tell you what my plan is anyway, as I continue to age in this world. To sprint for as long as I possibly can, because I understand the benefits of it. To do it properly, to respect it, and to listen to my body, and to modify or scale whenever that time is needed. And each one of you is a unique little body of wonder. And whether you should stop sprinting at 35, 45, 55, 65, or 75 years old beats me. Let's just say that maybe that time comes for each of us at a different time. When that time, if it does come for me, when it does come for me, that doing hard 100-meter sprints just seems like, it just seems like it's time to kind of put that on the shelf. Okay, well, it's going to be a sad day, but I get it. But then what I will do is when those days do come up, I will not just blow them off and do something else. I will trade them out for that same sort of a time domain on the air bike or on the rower. Very short time domain, very high intensity, but a much more forgiving, shall we say, environment to the hamstrings. And that will allow me to embrace that time domain, to embrace that degree of training, and to reap tremendous benefits from it. And I will do that for as long as humanly possible because I understand the value of it. So, understand why it's good, make smart decisions, scale, build up as needed, and have a wonderful time training. Okay. Very kind question. Very easy answer on this one. This is from Steve M. A few folks in the group said a few times during the games that an event was, quote-unquote, very linchpin. Given that you chat up with Boz pretty frequently on the Very Not Random programming, did you have any influence, subcontractual obligations, involvements with any of the game's programming? No, I did not. So that's a very short answer for that. Boz and I chat. We're certainly friends, but Boz did what he did. And thank you very much for saying, some of the things were very Linchpin. But here's why that may or may not have seemed to be the case. Is we share a lot of the same principles. We have a lot of the same experience. We have a lot of the same background. From traveling the world and chatting with folks and doing seminars and lessons learned and things like that. You get an experience that you couldn't buy, right? You have to have lived it, and you see through repeated exposure commonalities, what works and what doesn't work, and all of those things. And our values on a lot of things line up. And I don't want to call it classic CrossFit but I guess for lack of a better way to say it, yes. And we're not classic CrossFitters because, I don't know, we like being retro or vintage or whatever the heck that's not what it is. I think I don't want to speak for Adrian, but I think he likes classic CrossFit and I like classic CrossFit for one very simple reason. It works. That's it. I mean, that's the most important thing. It works, and it's beautiful, and it's effective, and you don't need to make it more complicated than it should be. And so that's probably, I think our values line up on a lot of things, is I think why maybe that observation was made. Okay, final one here. Oh, my baby was just being crazy again. All right, she's asleep. This is from Paul S. This is a good question. And let me read his question verbatim to the best of my ability. I asked this once before, but it didn't make the cut. Well, Paul, it made the cut today. I've been doing CrossFit for well over a year now, and I'm getting very good at it. But for people who are new to CrossFit, will fitness still be achieved with less than perfect form? Great question. For instance, if somebody can't squat below parallel, or if the clean and jerks don't have enough dip and drive, will the movement still produce results? Great question. So, again, this is another area where I think the truth will make somebody uncomfortable. And then I'm presented with this. Do I tell you an uncomfortable truth, or do I wrap you up in a warm, comfortable lie that will make the internet feel good? Can't do that, so here comes the potentially uncomfortable truth. And the uncomfortable truth, and there's a couple things that live at the same time. I guess the short answer, will the movements and workouts in general still get somebody fit with less than ideal movement quality, less than ideal range of motion, less than ideal mechanics? Yes, they will. Yes. And there's a whole bunch of people out there who are living proof of this. Now, I think what then gets immediately linked to that is those people are going to get injured. Immediately. Just, that's it. There's no gray area. You're not moving perfectly, you're going to get injured. Maybe. Maybe not. It's certainly not ideal. I mean, that's the other part. It's certainly not something that anyone should accept. You should not just accept poor movement quality. You should not just accept poor technique. You should be working towards improving it. But there's a lot of people out there who aren't trying to move bad. Okay? They're beginners, and maybe they're all by themselves and they have no additional instruction. They actually think that they're doing well. And then they video themselves, right? And they look back at it a couple years later and they go, yeesh, I didn't know that's how I looked like on those cleans, on those thrusters, on those fill in the blanks, right? And 2 years have gone by and they're happy and healthy and nothing happened. It's a very common experience that a lot of people have. And again, I can't lie to everybody. I have video of myself working out in my garage in 2005 when I thought that I knew something, and I very much did not. That video will never see the light of day because it's hard to watch. And it was me and all my knucklehead friends in there who didn't know any better, and we'd just go hard every day. That's all that mattered. Just go hard every single solitary day. And how we moved was largely deplorable. Deplorable. We didn't know. And over the course of time, we slowly figured out. Ideally, and that's the point of these podcasts, these Linchpin conversations, of so many content that's out there, the goal is to get people on a far more efficient and intelligent path than I was on with all my knucklehead friends. You want to move as well as you can. You should not move faster in any workout than you can move properly. Okay? That's it. Don't ever move faster in a workout than you can move well. And if you feel yourself starting to not move well, the recipe is simple. Stop. Slow down. Take as much rest as you need until you're ready to start moving well again. If reducing something is needed, go ahead and reduce it. I think there's a lot of people that fall into that camp, but everyone thinks that they're the one, right? They're the one that always moves perfect, and they always moved perfect since day one, and judgment is being doled out to the person down the street who doesn't move well. Chances are, all of us did not move as well at some point in our strength and conditioning career as we thought we did. And chances are, the overwhelming majority of us didn't get dinged up from it. We're just ignorant, and we didn't know, and we just kept on working out. Hopefully we were lucky enough to get that form cleaned up along the way, and it's a lifelong process of always trying to move better, whether you're in year 1, year 10, or year 20 of working out. There's always something to try to improve. Always. Now, whether it's a technique issue that needs to be polished up or a range of motion issue that isn't quite there, assuming that the range of motion issue is an issue because you just need to develop it, not because you have like a surgery or some sort of physical impairment that actually prevents you from going below parallel, period, for the rest of your life. That's a different deal. But if somebody just needs more work to get a good overhead position, needs more work to get a good below parallel position, well, they're still working out at whatever phase in life that they're in, where their below parallel is not quite there yet, their overhead needs work, and they're ideally scaling or modifying to work around that and be smart. But then the goal is to, try to achieve that idealized position, wherever you are. And that's a never-ending process. So, yes, pulling low-quality deadlifts is still pulling weight off the ground. So it's going to strengthen your body. Is that a smart decision and what everybody should do? Of course not. Of course not. What we want is everybody doing functional movements and doing functional movements well. That's the goal. Period. End of story. And there's, again, trying to prevent another rabbit hole here. You shouldn't, whatever you want out of your fitness program, technique and moving well, proper form, proper mechanics, whatever is the vernacular that you're comfortable with, technique, those are the keys to the kingdom, right? I mean, here's an overly simplified example. Is maybe you've got a group of people that safety is their number one concern. Safety, safety, safety. Nothing. I don't care about my times. I don't care about my loadings. I want to move well. I want to move safe. I want to be working out until I'm 75 years old. Safety's the key. Then you've got another group, maybe a bit of reckless people, okay? Those sort of types that all they care about is their time on the leaderboard, and who cares about the form? Be fast, lift the most weight. Those are two very different camps, right? At least on the surface. But if both those camps actually truly understand the nuances of the methodology, then both camps actually have at their core technique. The camp that is solely improved with moving well and safety and longevity, technique is clearly going to be their friend. Moving well is clearly going to be their friend. Proper mechanics is clearly going to give them the best shot at longevity possible. But then here's that other camp that just cares about the fastest Elizabeth time, the biggest deadlift, or whatever it happens to be. What that camp might not understand, and this was me and my knucklehead friends back in 2005, we didn't get this, that with proper technique, you're going to do whatever that set amount of work is, the majority of the time, faster. You're going to lift more with proper mechanics than with bad mechanics. Your line of action on a deadlift, if that bar rolls away from your shins or something like that, a very heavy deadlift in a proper line of action feels like a very heavy deadlift. A very heavy deadlift with that bar, that's quote-unquote same loading, but you roll that bar a couple inches away from you, it feels like it just increased in loading 30% because the line of action is now off. There's a way, mechanically speaking, to get your knees out of the way as your hips and shoulders rise and your midline stays nice and strong so that you're able to get the strength of your posterior chain to lift that barbell. There's a proper way to maximally lift a load there. And so technique will get you the biggest lift. You're not going to just yank on the bar harder and try to improve your squat snatch. Well, maybe you will for a while, but you will hit a wall and you will plateau, and then that loading will only go up with technique. So even that other crew that wants to be the fittest, fastest, and strongest, and they don't care about anything else, they just want to win, technique is their key as well. And then even in something like not a maximal lift, thrusters in Fran or something like that, a smooth line of action with proper body position is going to be a better way to accomplish that work than moving inefficiently. If at a given workload, two athletes who are clones of each other are exerting the same, caloric expenditure, the exact same amount of energy and effort that they're putting into muscle contractions and opening and closing their hips and all that, but even though they're trying just as hard, both are trying exactly the same amount, but one is moving that barbell beautifully and efficiently, and all the energy exerted is going right into accomplishing the work in the most efficient fashion, and the other one is not moving well, and they're unstable, and they're dancing that barbell all around the gym. That one that's moving well and beautifully with proper technique is going to accomplish the work faster. So they're not only keeping their body in the most ideal position to be safe, but they're going to maximize their work capacity through moving well. So no matter what you want out of your strength and conditioning program, out of CrossFit, out of fitness, be it longevity, be it great scores and times, technique should be sought out by both of those camps. It is the answer. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. All right, it's 6:14 a.m. here. My little girl was asleep and then awake and now back asleep. That's good stuff. Oh, I wanted to let everybody know the first Linchpin Challenge is coming up here very shortly. Registration is going to open on Monday, August 15th. So be on the lookout for that. I'll post some stuff about it as well. And the window of time that the first Linchpin Challenge is going to go down is next Friday through Monday, August 19th through the 22nd. And it is a 5K run. It's quintessentially Linchpin. I wanted to make the first Linchpin Challenge true to our nature, which is we do what is effective. We don't care what's popular. We do what's effective, and everybody wants to blow off the run. Actually, we had a great conversation earlier about sprinting, right? There's a lot of stuff that people want to blow off. We don't blow off what works at Linchpin. We do the work, and that's why the benefits come. And so the first one's going to be a 5K run. Let me see if I'm going to go off camera for 1 second. I didn't set myself up properly, and just grab a shirt real quick. Hold on 1 second. Okay, here we go. I'll show this real quick. I see JJ. What if we can't run? It's not a bike or a row at this point in time, but if you can't run, you can jog. If you can't jog, you can walk. You can do a combination of walking, jogging, and running. It doesn't bother me. You've got to just cover 5K. And if you can't do it, don't worry. There'll be one Linchpin Challenge a month, every month. After this first one, which is a 5K, we're going to start the Linchpin tests. One test a month, starting with test number 1 and going all the way through. So there'll be something there for everybody. And I'm not requiring a video from everybody. As I said in a previous video, we're not pre-screening for some other big event that we're going to take super seriously and all that. There's no videos. It's just a fun community event. If you want to do it and have a blast. If you don't want to, no worries about it. You got to be a part of Linchpin to do it, or you can just, if you want to sign up, you'll get the 30-day free trial, but you've got to be a part of the community in one way, shape, or form. And what's really cool, very proud with how these came out, is here's the shirt. Now bear in mind I'm filming this on my phone, so it's mirror image right now, so the text is going to be backwards, my apologies. But here's the shirt. Very simple. Just says Linchpin, 5K run. And it says effective, not popular. But here's the cool thing. Whoever signs up and does it, your first name and then the first letter of your last name will go on the back with a subdued linchpin. So they were all in this together. How about that? And then it says the date, August 2022. How cool is that? And that's going to be the goal every month moving forward with a new linchpin test. Because, there's some tests that are profoundly difficult. Not a lot of people will do them. There's some that are easier. Other people will do them. But whatever one you do, you're going to get to be on the back with everybody else. And there's also a tank top. We've got a women's tank as well. Boom. Same deal. And then there's going to be, this month, there's going to be a red. There's going to be a black shirt and a red shirt. And the red's pretty cool too. It's got white lettering on the back. And there's a red tank top. My goal is each month to always offer the black shirt and the black tank top, because that's always an easy one. Is the t-shirt international shipping is available. I always feel bad for the international folks. I don't control the shipping prices. They always seem ridiculous, but yes, there's international shipping available. But the goal is to always have the black shirt and black tank top offered every month for every Linchpin challenge. And then I'll always offer one additional color each month. So this month it's red, but we'll rotate through a whole bunch of different colors. So that's it. And so it'll just be signing up through BTWB, through the challenges page. Once it goes live, I'll put it out in the private Facebook group. I'll put it out over Instagram channels and things like that. And it's just to have fun, right? And that's why I'm not doing a video requirement. There's no video requirement. Just have fun and do it for yourself, right? And this is almost linked to the question about technique, right? Because the question that might come up is, well, if there's not a video, and I look at the leaderboard, how do I know that person on the leaderboard that put a 17-minute 5K in there really did it? You don't. Which is why it's a community event. There's everyone's name on the back of the shirt, but all you should be worried about is your time and your efforts. So that there's 14 linchpin tests. We're doing this first one, which is the run, which means if we go through this one, then all the tests, and then we start cycling them again, that the 5K run will come up 15 months from now. And so all you need to do is you submit your time, and then 15 months later, you've still been working out. When this comes up again, you do it again, and you compare your time then to your time now. And it's you versus you, and you see how you're doing. And if somebody, submitted a time that was erroneous, or they didn't really run a 5K, they only ran 2.5 miles, then as I said in another video, then that person's very weird. They do very weird things, and they should seek out some sort of professional clinical help from a psychiatrist or a psychologist as to why they do very strange things. But can't worry about people doing strange things. So go have fun, hold yourself to a good standard, and just have a blast. That's the goal. So again, that'll be registration will open up on Monday, August 15th. And then the window to do it is Friday, August 19th through Monday the 22nd. And have fun. And that's it. Have a wonderful day. I will talk to everybody later. It's a rest day. I encourage you to take it. And we'll talk later.